Americans trying to reclaim America's founding principles. And that starts with fiscal responsibility. Because today, we're sitting on a $1.3 trillion healthcare bill that's going to be rammed down our throats. Wildly unpopular to the American people, and it's a driven agenda. And that's something that we need to reclaim representation in America today.
Yeah.
So in New York, last year we had a whole host of great events. We had 12,000 people in New Gingrich down here. We had, our first one right here with 150 people. We rallied up in Times Square, and a lot of us went down to Washington for the 9/12 March on D.C. And moving forward, we weren't too organized last year. We're all new to this. I'm new to this. So we're forming committees now. And what we need from all of you is to email us with the contact info that you got on your handout and join a committee. We have 8 different committees ranging from fundraising to public relations to charitable outreach and helping New York City charities. So we're really starting to get organized because things aren't going to change unless we get involved with elections, make our voices heard, and really get out there to the people of New York. There's 8 million people in New York City, and we need to reach every single one of them. So we'll be forming outreach teams, we'll be standing by the subway stops, handing out literature, because a lot of people agree with us. They just don't know we're here yet. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be hopping on... What?
People are afraid to speak up.
Yeah, people are afraid to speak up. He's right. But not anymore. What you see a government that's run by one party, and no party is innocent in this game. Both have been spending, both have been pushing legislative agendas down our throats. So it's our time to stand up and take this back. Republicans and Democrats, they're all on notice. You're going to either vote the right way or you're going to be voted out of office. A perfect example of corruption at its worst. And, there's several great candidates going against him this year. They don't have a lot of money, but it's going to be grassroots driven. There's going to be all kinds of events. There's going to be electoral races that the people of America win, like in Scott Brown in Massachusetts. Statistically, that should have been virtually impossible for him to win. And he won by 6% of the vote, 6 or 7%. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be hopping on the subway and heading up to our lovely senators' offices and reminding them that we're here, that we're not going away, and let them know that we're getting organized. Because a lot of the complaints, and we heard them every day last year, what are we doing next? What are we doing next? We don't want to complain anymore. We don't want to protest. So we're going to be coming up with our own ideas, with our own solutions. We're going to be bringing our friends into the game. We're going to be bringing real professionals who have a history of accomplishment into the Tea Party. Because we're all professionals. We have to balance our checkbooks. We're held accountable to the IRS. We can't run deficits, or Bank of America charges millions of dollars in overdraft fees. So moving forward, we're going to put a big focus on getting organized. This year we're going to be focusing on the 3 E's: events, education, and elections. With events, we're going to be holding our protests, our rallies, and our town halls again, and we'll all be going to D.C. again, and we're going to be organizing buses for that. For elections, we're going to be doing voter guides. One of the things we're going to be looking to do is educating voters in every district about who's running for office and what they stand for. Too often in New York City and in Westchester and Long Island, you have people who hear one name for an election. That's it. They get to the voting booth. They recognize one name and not the rest. Well, that's going to change too, because those people, they have a monopoly on these elections, the incumbent. So for elections, we'll be doing voter guides. We're also going to form a PAC, a political action committee, and that will allow us to endorse candidates. It'll allow us to raise money to help candidates. It'll allow us money to get out there and market for candidates and provide that public relations that usually, these newcomers to the game don't really have. So we're going to be doing that. And in terms of education, we're going to be doing education in the form of outreach. 20,000 people go through that subway stop every hour in the morning. And where are we? So we're going to be putting together outreach teams. I'll be out there. We need all of you to be out there. And we'll have many more people out there handing out literature, letting everyone know what's going on. And that's where the committees come into play. We have an outreach committee, and that's a committee that's going to be forming a lot of these outreach groups, these type of things. So, that being said, we really need you guys to join committees to get active. We have action plans. We're putting together a formal business plan. So the confusion that you saw last year isn't going to happen anymore. We're putting a lot of attention to it. So, that being said, I'd like to invite David to say a few words. David here is he came in during April 15th last year. April 15th wouldn't have happened without David. I was here. So, we had great response here last year, 1 year ago, and April 15th started happening. And I was a deer in headlights, and David, who's really good at planning events, and he has a history of doing all this type of stuff. He really came in and saved the day there, and together we formed 365, Tea Party 365, which is a 501c4 nonprofit organization, and we're getting more organized now, and I'd like to invite David.
I try to repeat his mistakes, you know, he keeps us on the field. What was it, 9 days before April 15th, I got a phone call. You got to meet this guy, Kellen Guida. I'm an old politico, but that's only because I've been around long enough to see what I don't like. I'm an organizational guy, and I'm so glad because Kellen and I make a good team. Here we have an activist who stepped out of the corporate world, saw what he didn't like from a business point of view, and brought a guy like me who's a businessman into it to bring my skills. So Kellen, I'm really glad to work with you. My focus is heavily on the legislative end. I have worked from inside the Beltway and outside the Beltway, but I'm never part of the structure. That's been the one thing I've done over the last 20 years. I walk around with a lot of papers, and I determine when I get up here whether I'm going to use some of the numbers or not. As we go forward, when we get to the second E, which is education, a lot of that's going to depend on you. Because while I can pull the numbers together, and Kellen and I can get them up on the website, and Lisa and everybody else and all our committee leaders can work together, if you don't take these numbers and these facts and incorporate them into what you do on a daily basis, how you talk to your co-workers, your neighbors, your friends, people who don't even like us. Matter of fact, the people that don't get it are the people that we need to speak with, because we already have. We have you. You're here. What we need are the people who need to understand these numbers. I am going to give you a few of them, because I want you to understand this from the point of view that we want to get the education out. By the numbers, 3.5 million. Those are the jobs that Obama promised stimulus would create by the end of 2010. 2.8 million. Those are the jobs lost since he made that promise. 6.3 million. Those are the jobs he must now create to keep that promise by the end of this year. Now, does that sound like it's going to happen to anyone? No. Okay. When you take that approach with someone, by the numbers, do the math, it is hard for any rational human being to look at you and say this is going to happen. His own economists have said that 1.1 million is the jobs that will be created by the end of 2010. Hold on. I didn't just say we need 6.3 million by the end of 2010. Yeah. His own economists say 1.1 is what they can do. That's the problem. That's a $5.2 million deficit in jobs to meet a promise. That's the education that you need to absorb, that we need you to use in your everyday lives. We're not going to go on the attack on personality. When Kellen and I had our first discussion